Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Jelly. Welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be a compilation of two of my older videos, plus kind of a mix of an old third one, but I did just record that today as well. I decided to go ahead and clump all of my tech videos into one just due to the sheer fact that some people were watching part one, not part two, and some people were watching part two, but not part one, and then they were asking questions about the one video that they didn't watch. So I just decided to go ahead and make this into one long video for any player really that's new to the game, or whether they're a vet or not, does not make a difference. You can watch this from start to finish and you're going to learn a lot about tech regardless. Now, one quick thing of note, I did mention before in my episode 2 of tech video, there was kind of I did get my opinion changed a little bit. I'm still very strongly against defense fortifications, but I do think that it is a good tech overall. I just don't think that it's top tier or into the same pedestal as the other ones that I do talk about in episode 2. So regardless of what I say, I do think that it's a good tech. I just don't think it's as valuable as some of the other techs there. Without further ado, I'm going to let you guys get into the video and I'll see you guys soon. The only thing that I will be differing on from in order will be Alliance, Duel, and Special Forces when that time comes for you as a player. These two tech trees will unlock for you pretty much immediately. And for anybody that is buying Valor badges out of the daily must buy or the weekly deal for Valor badges, that is going to be your primary focus right off the rip. If you're spending money on Valor, obviously go for Alliance Duel, get that completely maxed out until you're ready to go to Special Forces. Now that we've moved on past my disclaimers, let's actually get into what we should be doing as an individual to make you a tech expert. Okay, so let's say you started a brand new account where you are brand new to the game and it's day 2 and you have the tech tree, you just don't know what you should be doing. Let's jump into the things that you should be avoiding at all costs as a new player or a veteran alike. This is something you should avoid completely. The economy tree you should completely avoid at all costs unless it is a VS day or arms race day and you need quick and easy points. Then that's fine to go through the economy tree. As you'll see, I did here 18%. This was specifically to get points for my arms race. Now, if you don't know what arms race are or VS is, that's completely fine. Don't worry about it. Just completely leave this tech tree alone. Once those things pop up in game, you'll notice exactly what I was talking about and you'll use these to get free points for that. But regardless, economy's a no-no. Don't do it. It doesn't work well. It just does not help you as a player. And I know I'm going to get some comments based on that, so I'll explain my reasoning before you type angrily in the comment section below. Let's say you get down to the extra gold mine here, and you say, oh, okay, well, I want to earn more bread afterwards. You want to earn more bread, 4% more bread for one level of tech, and it costs you 600,000 bread to do one level. Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you're spending 600,000 bread, and by the time you're recuperating 600,000 bread from 4%, it's like it takes like 3 days. So it's 3 days worth of mining bread in your base just to earn enough to recuperate what you did. And I'm talking about specifically from that 4% buff. If you're earning 500,000 bread every 4 hours, that 4% buff is only going to give you an extra 20,000. So it's going to take X amount of hours to get you to make up for what you spent to increase that buff. And overall, this tech tree is just, I would avoid it at all costs. It's not worth it. It's not worth your time. So again, to summarize, the cost does not outweigh what you're going to be earning from this. That's going to become a common theme for the things I tell you to avoid, is the cost to what you're earning ratio just does not equal out. Let's go into the second thing that you should avoid as a new player, or at least until you've gotten through the rest of your techs. Squad 2 in specific, and also Squad 3. Which Squad 3 shouldn't even be a problem if you avoid Squad 2. Squad 2 will unlock once you get through Squad 1, so on and so forth. It's a waterfall. Squad 1 unlocks Squad 2, Squad 2 unlocks Squad 3. Except for Squad 4. Squad 4 unlocks if you buy the Super Monthly Pass. This is what unlocks Squad 4. I personally don't pay for it, but if you do, Squad 4 is not a bad option. Regardless, don't do Squad 2, don't do Squad 3. It's not worth it. It becomes expensive. Just don't do it. The last tech that you should avoid as a new player would honestly, in my opinion, be Hero. I don't think it's the worst thing that you can do, clearly with my 42%. However, it does become incredibly expensive really quickly. Each tech cluster, so in this instance, it is 4 tank hero buffs. And each cluster costs a certain amount, or it's relatively the same. And as you go on, each cluster gets more and more expensive. Just for an example,
will go to my level 3 to level 4 tank mastery 2. It costs 72 million gold, and my level 3 helicopter also takes 72 million gold. So you'll notice how there's an entire level difference, and it's the same cost. As you go through your techs, they do become more expensive, and after a certain point, it's just recommended to stop doing those techs unless you absolutely need to, or you're just swimming in gold and you're really, really rich and you've already finished everything else in this video. Then you can come back to do this hero tech tree. Okay, so now you know what to avoid. Let's go into a little bit in depth into what you should do and where you should start. The first thing that you should absolutely start is this development tree in the top left. Now you should start it and get all the way down to this extra barracks tech. This extra barracks is exactly what it sounds like. It gives you an extra barracks for your base. You'll notice that I have 4 total barracks. You get 3 of them from reaching certain level goals, and you get the 4th one from that tech tree. Now, along the way to getting the extra barracks, you also get some nice little buffs, an extra 5% construction speed, and then another extra 5% construction speed, meaning that it is 10% faster construction speeds. Something I may have not mentioned earlier, all of these techs add up. So it's not just 5% and then the next tree is 5%. No, it is 5 plus 5%. So it is 10 total percent, everything else after that. So I could unlock another 10%, and then I could unlock another 10%, and it'll all add up to be about 30 to 40% at the end of this tree. Now, I did say stop at the barracks, and I mean that not necessarily that the rest of the tech tree is bad, I just mean get to your extra barracks and then move on to the next tech that we're going to discuss. But in particular, this tree is not bad. I save the rest of this below for days that I need points, as I discussed earlier with Arms Race and VS. Because these techs are quick, easy, and pretty cheap to do, I don't think it's a bad idea to get to the bottom of this tech tree, especially the drill ground expansion and the survival skills are both pretty useful later on. So I don't think it's a bad idea to actually do this entire tech tree if you wished. I just stop at the barracks because after that, I want to save it for easier things. Once I'm finished with my development, I tend to move on to Squad 1. I think units in Squad 1 are pretty interchangeable, but I think Squad 1 should be maxed out immediately after your dev tree down to your barracks is done. Squad 1 gives you not only just a specific type of hero, but every hero and unit and drone in your Squad 1, which is this puppy out here. Everybody in that squad gets a specific buff from Squad 1. So for example, boost the HP for heroes in your squad. If you hit this 5 times, it gives you a 5% boost in HP for all of the heroes in your squad. So essentially a 5% overall to 5 heroes. Obviously, these all, at the end of the day, will add on to your Squad 1, and it's really, really cheap and pretty quick to do. So for example, one of the final techs that I haven't done only costs about 4 million gold, and it's done in about 9.5 hours, which is the Hold the Line 1, and I didn't max it out yet. I'm just lazy, and that's why I haven't maxed it out. Alongside with doing Squad 1, you should be trying to do something with the unit's tech tree as well. I find this to be a lot more important than some people think. I don't necessarily think it is the most important thing, but I do believe that the unit attack boost and the unit HP and the unit defense, and nobody really cares about the boost load capacity because this just means that you're carrying extra resources around and it's just not worth it. But the other 3, defense, attack, and HP, are all very, very nice, and I've gotten down to 77%. I will be maxing this out eventually. Now, you'll notice how I said simultaneously, and I'm going to jump into that really quickly because I want to make a quick disclaimer for this next part. What I'm going to be discussing right now is the second tech center purchase. Now, way later on, and I mean way later on, you do get a second tech center for free, but that's pretty much after you've already beaten the game and you're in season 2 or 3 or whatever the case it may be for when it unlocks and you've done everything else. So you essentially don't get a second free tech center for a long time. If you're completely free to play and you refuse to spend any money, this part doesn't even matter. But for those minimal spenders or people who will say, oh, I'll buy a couple packs here or there, or you buy the heroes, for example, I believe that the second tech center purchase for $9.99 is the absolute best purchase in the game outside of the 99-cent Kim pack. Now, I will make a separate video going over the best purchases, but the reason I want to bring this up in particular is because having 2 tech centers allows you to do double the tech researches simultaneously. I currently am doing one for my Alliance Duel and also one for Special Forces. But the earlier that you get that second tech center is the earlier that you can get your tech trees done. So if you have one focusing on squad 1 and one focusing on units, that means that you're going to be able to get both done simultaneously, as if you only had one tech center, you'd only be able to get one done. Now, as I said, once you get squad 1 pretty much maxed out and units close to it, like I'm at 77%, and if you have squad 4 unlocked, you should probably also get that close to max, because I believe it is almost as cheap as squad 1, if not even cheaper. Then you should be focusing on Alliance Duel Special Forces. Now, I touched on this a little bit earlier because this is a bit of a sticky situation, or a catch-22. With Alliance Duel specific, you don't need resources, you just need Valor badges. Now, if you haven't played the game before and you're brand new, you may be asking me, well, what the hell are Valor badges? As I shown earlier in the video, you can buy them for $5. It's essentially 10 Valor badges per dollar. So one Valor badge equals 10 cents. It doesn't matter how you're buying it. That's always going to be the value of it. They're one of the most expensive things in the game that you can buy. How do you get them for free, you may ask? Well, that's kind of another situation. There's a bunch of ways to get Valor badges for free. It's just not a lot. For your first week in Alliance VS, you will only have the first 3 chests here. These are given to you completely for free, and that means daily you can earn 200 Valor badges for the first week. And the event goes on for 6 total days, meaning that you can earn 1,200 Valor badges weekly if you max this out and you don't have any of the tech done. You can also earn Valor badges from being top 5 for a day in your VS. So if you rank in the top 5, you'll get extra Valor badges. You can also get Valor badges from specific events that may happen. So I just had an event and it was called Goldies. We call it Goldies as a community, but its actual name is Zombie Invasion. Regardless, once you unlock Alliance Duel for your server and you start earning Valor badges, you should immediately stop caring about all other tech and put all focus into Alliance Duel. Now, once you are earning Valor badges and you are putting all of your effort into Alliance Duel, one quick note that I'm going to make before we continue with this is that you should be doing all of your Valor badge researches, so any research that requires Valor badges should be done on your tech day for VS. So that's typically on day 3. Age of Science, you get extra points by using Valor badges right here. I get 600 for using 1 Valor badge, and you should be focusing most of your early tech days on the Valor badge usage. So for me, Tech Day happens to fall on a Tuesday, so I will only start techs for Valor badges on Tuesday. But regardless, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get all the way to the bottom of this Alliance Duel. Now, you don't need to get everything maxed out like I have here. In fact, I think you need to get this one to 6 out of 10, 6 out of 10, 6 out of 10 to unlock this. Is just one thing, so you unlock that to unlock the one below it, and then once that's at 1 out of 10, you can go all the way to the bottom of the tree. But in order to reach this, you need to get these 2 up to level 6 and this one up to level 1, or whatever the case may be. There's minimums before, and I'll show you an example of what I'm talking about right now. So for example, the bottom of the Alliance Duel Tech tree will have something that looks like this. It'll be grayed out. You're not going to be able to do it. You won't be able to do it. And it'll tell you why. So if you click on it, it'll say you need to research this tech above it. And so you'll research the tech above it. Once that's done, it'll unlock the one below it. Just like I talked about the waterfall earlier with squads 1, 2, and 3. Once you have this done completely to the bottom, not maxed, but you have it done to the bottom and you have this one unlocked, then you're going to want to start focusing on Special Forces. And boy, oh boy, I don't even know where to start with Special Forces because it is expensive. Now you'll see my tech tree for Special Forces is the bare minimum because I'm just trying to get to the absolute bottom of this and unlock this so I can get level 10 units. And then I'm going to come back through after and finish everything else. So these techs, not only do they require more Valor badges than your previous ones. So for example, this one requires 1,500 Valor badges just to research at one time. It also requires a lot of gold, 160 million. This is very, very, very expensive. As you'll see, it needs me to research all level 10s for all 3 of these. And in order for me to get these up to level 10, I have to have the advanced protection up. But you don't need everything up to level 10. Because I can get this all the way up to level 10 with these being level 1. I know, it's confusing, and I'm sorry. But regardless, Special Forces takes a lot of gold, it takes a lot of Valor badges, And this is the whole point of my entire rant earlier, talking to you about why we avoid certain techs. We want to save as much gold as possible to make our lives easier when it comes time to do the Special Forces tree. These bottom 5 techs here, to get them completely done so you can unlock your level 10 troops, it is like 14 billion gold. It is not cheap, it is a lot, and I have spent thousands of dollars, and I'm still not even close being done at the bottom. For the minimal spenders, this is not going to be obtainable. This tree is not going to be obtainable relatively quick. It is going to take quite a while to get here. But if you follow everything that I've set up until this point, and once Alliance Duel comes out, you start focusing specifically on Alliance Duel and Special Forces, that is the fastest, quickest, and most efficient way for you to get up tier level 10 troops. So as we've touched on with everything here, you do all of this, yes, but the second you unlock your Alliance VS, you're going to want to put every bit of effort you can into Alliance Duel and Special Forces. This is your primary objective, is getting through Alliance Duel and then starting Special Forces and trying to get through that as quick as possible. Now you may be asking yourself, well, what if I don't have Valor badges and I spent them all on the Alliance Duel or Special Forces, and now my tech centers are sitting empty? Well, then of course it's okay to go back through and do some of these other ones. If you don't have the proper funds to complete either Alliance Duel or Special Forces, then it's fine. But just be weary that gold is hard to come by, and if you say, oh, well, I don't have the Valor badges, you're going to start doing heroes, and there you go, 40 million gold is out the window, and now you're going to be deadlocked by gold on Special Forces instead of the Valor badges that you may be struggling to come up with. Okay, I'm sorry if I lost most of you guys by now, and it is confusing as I stated earlier, and I'm really doing my best to make it as simple as possible. But realistically, a lot of this is not simple. It's pretty confusing and maybe even complex as to the order you should be doing things. And if you saw this video and it didn't help you and you just threw it all out the window, I wouldn't blame you. It is a lot. It is confusing and it can be a lot to keep up with. But we are approaching the end of the video, and you'll notice I haven't talked about one of these techs that I have on my screen here, and that is Intercity Truck. I'm just going to recommend skipping this until after Special Forces is done, and then we're going to move on to the next techs in the next video that will unlock, such as Siege of Seas and Defense Fortifications, after Special Forces is done. So all in all, if you've learned anything from this video, it's that you should be doing these researches, but the second you start earning Valor badges, put all of your effort into Alliance Duel and Special Forces. Get through this as quick as possible. Get to the bottom of your Special Forces tree and have everything unlocked, the minimums that you need to get through. Once you have the minimum of this tree done to get your level 10 unlocked, then you can start going back through and doing some of the other stuff if you wish. And also one more thing of note, if you did do just the minimum of Alliance Duel to get your Special Forces tree unlocked, that is completely fine. And if you find yourself struggling for gold, and that's the only deadlock that you're having for Special Forces, and you are swimming in Valor badges, and you have so much Valor badges, it's fine to go back through and max out your Alliance Duel tree if you haven't already done so, like me, for example. I'm not deadlocked by gold, but I was deadlocked by time, and I said, you know what, I just want to finish my Alliance Duel, so I'm going back through, I'm going to finish up the rest of this tree, and then I'm going to go straight back to focusing on Special Forces. And also, if you're going to spend a lot of money, then yes, buying Valor badges, in my opinion, especially before Alliance VS is out, is incredibly worth it because it gives you a huge head start for when Alliance VS comes out.
Moving forward, I did talk about tier 10 troops. Now, tier 10 troops brings you to just about that 40% on the Special Forces tree that you need to be at anyway. You need to get up to level 40 or level 40% on your Special Forces tree in order to unlock the Siege to Seas and Defense Fortifications here. So once you get up to 40%, which as I said, it's about tier 10 troops, just go ahead and max out the top or whatever you need to do to get up to that 40%, and then you're going to move on to Siege to Seas. Once you're on to Siege to Seas, I do recommend coming all the way down and grabbing this extra drill grounds here. Now, these top ones aren't super important. Obviously, this is a nice little buff for you. This very top one is load capacity is useless. Do not care about that. But again, the extra drill grounds is what makes this completely, utterly worth it. As you can see here, I did not move further down through the tree, and that's not because this tree isn't good, because this tree is phenomenal. As we talked about here, it's an extra 5% to attack, defense, and HP. That is here 3 times. Go ahead and invest in this tree. Make sure that you're getting to the bottom of it. All of these are fantastic. This increases your drill grounds capacity by 10%. This increases your march speed by 5% once you max it out. And this increases your enemies or opponents' casualty rate or death rate, which is super nice because it's going to give you the advantage over them in battle. Now, this entire tech tree is phenomenal, and I do recommend maxing it out. And so why I only have it 27% is kind of a mystery, but I'll definitely explain why in just a minute. The second tech tree that you unlock at 40% is going to be defense fortifications. Now, obviously, this first one here gives you an extra hospital. Go ahead and do that. Why not? Extra hospital, and it's relatively cheap too. But then the rest of this tree is kind of hit or miss, right? Because I think a lot of this is pointless. I do like the way down here, I do like the survival skills because this will decrease the death rate of your units in world map PvP battles. That's pretty much everything across the board. Tiles, reinforcing a base, reinforcing your own, reinforcing a capital building, all this. This is going to decrease your death rate of your units. That's a great one there. And obviously, as I talked about, boosting your march speed is a fantastic thing to do. But the problem I have with this entire tech tree here in of itself is the fact that this really caters to your really strong players. As I talked about in one of my previous videos, one of my most popular videos on my channel is talking about things that you didn't know about last war. And one of the top things that kind of goes unnoticed is that you should be taking your troops completely off the wall. Now me, I have my first squad on the wall, or all my squads on the wall, because we had zombie siege and I just wanted to have all of those there. When it comes time to Warzone Duel and pretty much any other event such as the meteor event and whatever else may be taking place, I take all my squads off the wall because you lose more troops when your squads are on the wall versus if you don't have them on the wall. So regardless, now that you have that kind of a mini lesson, having all of this defense stuff means nothing because I'm not defending myself anyway. I'm allowing them to hit me. I'm allowing them to ash me. I'm allowing them to blow me off the side of the map because I do not want to lose more troops than what I have to. So for me, even though I was a heavy spender in the beginning, I've really toned back and I spend like maybe 20 bucks every other week. I don't spend a whole lot of money. None of this makes sense, and it won't make sense for anybody other than really heavy spenders either, or top 10 in your server. Maybe then this makes sense, but the rest of this is kind of silly. The only things I really like here are going to be the hospital's capacity. I think that's fantastic, and then I already talked about the march speed and the decrease in death rates. Now, however, the most silly thing that this entire tech tree has to offer is the increased protection limit for food, iron, and coin. I just need to reiterate to you guys completely, you guys have full control over this. You guys will pretty much, however much resources you lose is completely on you because you do not have to have your resources unlocked. You can keep them in chests and only unlock those chests or use those chests when it's time for an upgrade or anything else. This is silly. This is completely silly. I don't even know why this is a tech that they offer. Do not do this. Do not waste your resources in investing in this. The other one that's kind of interesting is the reduced resource cost for healing. Now, if you're a penny pincher or you were really stingy with resources, this is going to be a good one. But if you're kind of like me and you just don't really care that much about resources, this means nothing. And that's why I have not gone through defense fortifications. So instead, once I got my 4th drill grounds and I got siege disease up to 27%, I didn't really care about defense fortifications, but I did grab that extra hospital because I think that's really nice. I went ahead and backtracked up to my special forces because in order to unlock siege disease and defense fortifications, again, you need 40%. But in order to unlock these 3 down here, missile, aircraft, and tank, you need an 80% in your special forces. Now, this is where things get a bit more fun and a bit more tricky because now it's about maximizing what you can for your tech tree and what is going to be the best for you. Now, right off the rip, these top 7 techs here, phenomenal. You go through these, unlock these, get these maxed out. I think it's great. I don't think that the training speed up is bad, and I don't think the number of trainees is bad either, but I did skip that because at the end of the day, this down here is what's more important. These 3 right above the morale, max them out completely. They're still relatively cheap and still relatively quick, and it's nice for you. It's a nice little buff for your squad, your troops, your heroes, all that stuff being said. And then finally, this one right here is the morale. Boost units morale to 25%. Now, if you guys don't know what morale is, I'm going to read it verbatim here. Morale is a unique attribute of units. A squad's morale is determined by the level of the units, the hero's march size, and the morale bonuses. So 3 things there. In battle, the side with a higher morale inflicts extra damage on the lower morale side with a cap of 100%. That being said, here's the thing. You could have a lower level hero. You could have lower level troops. You could have lower level this. If it's relatively close, right? If you're only down by like maybe 500,000 power, if you have more morale, you're gonna win, because morale is going to essentially take all that damage that they're doing to you, and you have to do more because morale requires. So I know that there's like technically a science behind it, but I'm not gonna dive into it. I will do deep dive videos in the future, but for right now, I'm not gonna be doing the deep dive video now. Yes, morale is super, super important, and it's very, very underrated. I don't see enough people talking about units morale, and frankly, they should. And then if you're going to continue to go down through the tech tree, I do recommend these three down here. These are probably the best bang for your buck. Again, not bad idea if you decided to increase your hospital's capacity. Wouldn't be mad at you. I just don't like the resource costs here, and I know I can do it cheaper in one of the other tech trees that are available. And then obviously you need these bottom 5 maxed in order to get to your T10s, which goes back to last video anyway. Now this next part of the video is actually a bit more interesting because it is completely based on what type of player you are and what squad you are primarily focused in. So for example, I'm an aircraft squad main, and I do not spend much money or much resources or anything else on either tank or missile mastery. So when it came time to unlock my special forces up to 80%, I knew exactly why I was doing it. It's because in order to unlock these, you need 80%. And once you have them, you choose whatever one you want. Whales are going to do all three. No matter what you do, whales should do all three. You should get to the bottom of them. They're expensive, they're time consuming, and I guarantee not a single person I know is already all the way through every single one of these. But for you and I, well, more or less you, because you're more of an average player than I am, I have spent quite a bit of the money. You kind of have to choose one primary. And for me, that's going to be the aircraft squad. I recommend obviously just maxing this entire tree out from top to bottom. It is incredible. These are just going to increase your base percentage by whatever. So like this one is from 0.3 to 0.45. For each aircraft hero deployed, the attack of all aircraft heroes in the team is boosted, so that's a great thing. Same thing here with the defense and the HP as well. So this one right here is going to increase your damage by 20% for each aircraft hero deployed. So the damage, it's going to be boosted by that amount. That's a huge bonus for everybody that's running that. And then obviously, I say obviously because not a lot of people know this, but probably the best tech in this entire tree here is going to be the hero march size boost. Now the reason this one is kind of important, and I'd say better or more important than the rest of them, maybe besides the damage reduction here, is that this is going to increase your troops, and might be messed up with my thinking here, but I think that this increases 10 plus 10 march size per hero. So you have 5 aircraft heroes, that's going to increase your march size by plus 50. I do believe, I could be completely mistaken. I have no idea. I think that's how that works. Never really specifies. It might only actually increase the whole march by 10, the whole squad by 10. It says hero march size boost. So I don't know. And there is 2 of them. So that increases it by 20 total. And if you have the deco that I talked about, which is the God of Judgment, that increases by almost 30 per hero. So now you have 150 extra troops just in your one singular march, which is going to be a huge advantage and a huge strategic advantage over anybody else relatively the same size. And then obviously, I already said the other one that I really, really like here, and I think this might actually be better than the march size increase, is the damage reduction. So as I talked about in my decoration videos, one of the most important things is how much damage are you doing and how much damage are you taking. The damage reduction is just it's just a blanket thing every time you get hit, that this percentage is going to be completely reduced. Whereas defense doesn't come into it, HP doesn't come into it, none of that matters. Damage reduction is literally just talking about how much damage are you taking, how much damage are we taking away from that. So it's pretty much that simple. I recommend getting to the bottom of this in whatever one you primarily focus in, whether that be aircraft, tank, or missile, or if you have multiple squads, go with all of them. But it's not going to be cheap. I need to forewarn you there. It's not going to be cheap, and it is very, very time consuming. I'm talking about techs that take a week right off the rip. So this one, for example, takes 7 days just to get to level 3. It's not cheap. It's not quick. It's definitely a grind. And that's pretty much all I have to say.
So the Age of Oil tech, for most people that are curious about what it actually is it's going to be again, a tech tree of sorts that's specifically meant for oil production, anything related to oil. And it's pretty simple, honestly. Now, right off the rip, let's go ahead and talk about the first thing right out the way. It's unlock the oil well. It should be relatively easy for everybody to get and unlock and whatnot. But then from there, you're basically going to want to work your way all the way down to the bottom of this tree, because there are 2 very important techs here, at least in my opinion. The first one being the 3rd tech center, or the 2nd tech center if you didn't buy the first one. Having this extra tech center, again, just allows you to produce so much more tech. Meanwhile, like everything at this rate, if you look down here on the bottom of my screen, I have 13 hours, 2 days, and almost 3 days, 3 days and 10 hours. And almost all of these are almost 3/4 of the way done. So you can understand why and how long these techs start to take, especially here at the end. when you've gotten through a majority of the fast and easy ones, it takes 9-10 days per tech. So having 2 or even 3 tech centers going all, at the same time with tech is a huge buff, because whereas it's going to take you 30 days to do 3 techs, now it'll only take you 10 to do 3 techs. So it's a huge buff. It's a huge boost. I definitely recommend trying to speed blitz all the way down to at least the 3rd tech center right off the rip. And then from there, obviously the best tech otherwise is going to be the HQ35 base level cap. This is obviously a big one. Going from level 30 to 35 has all of its perks and benefits. Now, to clarify, when I go over this in a future video, it is very, very expensive to get up to HQ35. In fact, I actually have my present back there in the background of my HQ31, but it's very expensive to get HQ35, and that's literally the only reason that I actually think that the 3rd tech center is better than the base expansion one, for that reason solely. Otherwise, I mean, it's going to take a lot of oil. This is not going to be quick for a lot of players, especially free-to-play players. Now, I know this sounds weird, but I think the number is if you buy that first $100 worth of oil, I think you can buy 5 of the weekly oil things. That should be enough to get you almost all the way to the bottom of this tree. Now, from there, you obviously have other things that you have to worry about, like your tech or your HQ, and everything beyond level 30 is going to require oil as well. But we don't really care about that. We're just specifically talking about the tech tree. Now, kind of just bouncing off the rest of this video, I don't really care about the iron, gold, or bread output. If you're a free-to-play player, sometimes it's nice to boost that. But otherwise, I wouldn't waste your time or breath on this, because it does take 2 days per tech. Now, multiply that by 3, that's 6 days worth of tech if you don't already have that tech center. The oil well output production being increased by percentages, I actually do like that. I think that's a good idea. Anything research speed, I 100% think that that's a good investment to make. I just haven't gone through it yet because I'm working on some other tech trees at the moment. Building construction speed is never a bad idea. I would say if you're not in any rush to get to HQ35, then this could probably take a back seat, but it's still not a bad tech overall. Anything that's training troops or healing troop speed, I don't personally care for it. I do think that it does have its benefits, but it's not a huge deal to me. And again, all of these oil outputs that are boosting your oil are huge, and you obviously have to do them. But as you can kind of just see from my tech tree, I did max them out completely. And I, again, did not really care about the hospital capacity, the emergency center capacity. Eventually, I'll come back through and do these. This one, it reduces resource costs for training units. I think that this can be very hit or miss depending on if you're resource poor or not. Otherwise, I think it's, again, another thing that you can kind of just skip over, at least in my opinion, once again. And the reduced resource cost for killing wounded units, not bad. I mean, none of these are bad. I don't think a single one of these are bad except for the actual resource ones up at the top. But the reason that I would recommend skip on all of them is just because you have things that are higher priority, in my opinion. And then obviously the drone parts you have to get, the boost oil well output, I did up to 10% because you have to get the final base expansion tech. So yeah, that's pretty much the Age of Oil tech tree in a nutshell. There's not much else to talk about when it comes to any new techs that they've added. That's literally it. So I'm gonna go ahead and say appreciate y'all. Thank y'all so much. If you did enjoy this video, make sure that you are subscribing to the channel, liking this video, and commenting down below whether you agree, disagree, or really if anything's changed. Appreciate y'all, and jelly out. Peace.